AI never sleeps, and this week has been absolutely insane. We have a new AI that can create images with multiple reference objects or characters. We have a new real-time talking head generator. Veo2 is finally out for everyone to use for free. This AI can create coherent 1-minute long videos. Plus, this AI can complete missing parts of a 3D model. We have a new top open source image generator, which even beats Flux. Google just held their Cloud Next event with some exciting AI announcements, and ChatGPT gets a new memory feature. We have some insane humanoid robot demos and a lot more, so let's jump right in. First up, this AI is super useful. It's called Uno by ByteDance. And by the way, ByteDance has been on fire lately. They're dropping so many cool open source tools. Now, Uno can create images with multiple reference objects or characters. So here are some examples. You can plug in multiple different reference objects or characters and generate a photo from that. So if we have this ByteDance logo plus this white t-shirt, we can add the logo to this t-shirt. Or let's say we have this doll of a girl plus this Kool-Aid looking plushy thing. Well, we can get both of them in the same photo like this. Or here's another example. If we have this anime girl plus this Chinese logo, well, we can add this logo to her shirt like this. Or if we have this photo of a cat riding a duck and this hat, we can make the cat wear the hat like this. Or here's another example where the reference photos are this dog plushie plus this blue handbag, and we can add them both together in a photo like this. And this is also great for generating characters in different styles. So let's say you input this reference photo of a woman, well, you can generate an anime photo of her, which looks like this. Or if you input this photo of a man, you can generate a 3D Pixar style photo like this. Or let's say we use the same reference photo of this man. You can prompt him to wear a suit in the city at night in this GTA style, and this is what you get. Here's an example of that woman again. This time, let's turn her into this 3D Disney Pixar style. And here's your result. This is also perfect for clothing brands. You can get AI-generated people to wear your clothes as models. So here's an example. Let's say you input these two clothing items. Well, you can generate a girl wearing these clothes in a city like this. Or here's another example. Let's say you have this blue top plus these shorts with the words "keep fit." You can get a man to wear these in a field of flowers during sunset like this. Or you can get another man to wear this, but this time he's in a city. Or here's another example where you get two different models to wear this floral dress, but in different settings. And this is also perfect for face swapping and cloning characters. So let's say you input a reference video of this woman. Well, you can generate her in any photo doing anything. So here are just two examples. Same with Einstein. If you input a reference photo of Einstein, you can get him to do something like this or play chess like this. And of course, you can combine multiple things together. So let's say you input a photo of this woman with a pink dress and a blue handbag. Well, you can combine all elements into one photo. And you can also specify the setting in your prompt. So for example, if you want to have her at the beach, it would look like this. If instead you want the background to be a field of flowers, it would look like this. This is a super versatile tool. Now, if you compare Uno with other similar tools like Omni Control or IP Adapter or OmniGen, which I've gone over on my channel before, note that Uno has the most accurate and most consistent generations. So for example, let's say we input this reference image of a clock and we prompt it with this clock on top of green grass with sunflowers around it. Note that Uno was the only one that was able to generate this clock correctly with the yellow 3 in the clock. Same with this shoe, Uno was the only one that was able to generate the shoe correctly. Here's an even more challenging example. So let's say you have this toy, but you prompt it with a purple toy. Uno was the only one that was able to change it purple while keeping the rest of the features consistent. Here's another example where if this is your input image and you prompt it with a red toy, again note that Uno was the only one that was able to turn this red while keeping the overall shape and design of this robot consistent. Anyways, if you scroll up to the top of the page, the nice thing is they've released a Hugging Face demo for you to try out. So here is where you would enter in a prompt describing your final image, plus here is where you would upload one or multiple reference images. And then here's where you would control the width and the height of your final image. So I'm gonna upload this photo of a woman, this dress, and this handbag, and then I'm gonna write, a woman wears the dress and holds a bag. She is in a dark mansion. So let's click generate and see if it can figure this out. And there you go. Here is the woman wearing this dress, holding the handbag in a dark mansion. Now, the details could be a bit better, but note that this is just 512 by 512. In addition to the Hugging Face demo, they've also released a GitHub repo, which contains all the instructions on how to install this and run it locally on your computer. Note that you'll need a minimum of 16 gigabytes to run this, and you'll need to pass these additional parameters to use the quantized version. Anyways, all the links are up here, so I'll link to this main page in the description below for you to read further. Next up, this AI is super useful. It's called 1-minute video generation with test time training. And this can generate coherent 1-minute videos from text storyboards that specify each scene. Here's what I mean. So here's the video and here's the full prompt. So you would specify scene by scene what each character is doing. So for example, for the first scene, Jerry, the brown mouse, sits upright holding a small block of yellow cheese. And then Tom, the blue-gray cat, takes the cheese from Jerry. And then afterwards, we end the scene and we start a new scene. This time there's a yellow wall with a mouse hole. And then Jerry walks leftward toward the mouse hole. And then we have the next scene here, which shows Jerry packing his clothes in a suitcase. And then the next scene where he walks across the yard with the suitcase, and etc., etc. And notice that for this entire generation, the characters and the style is very consistent. However, another thing to note is that there are a lot of flaws with this. The text is not legible. The edges around the characters, especially as they move, also have a lot of errors, so this is definitely not production ready. But nevertheless, this is a good prototype. You could see how eventually we could input an entire storyboard and get an AI to generate not just one 5-second video, but an entire long video or even an episode with multiple scenes that are coherent. Really quickly, here's how it works. They used a base video model called Cog Video, and this by itself can only generate videos of around 3 seconds long. So here is one 3-second generation from Cog Video. But they've added something on top of this architecture called test time training layers. And these are like little neural networks with their own memory. And because of this design, because of this memory, it's able to generate additional videos that preserve the style and character consistency, so that if you glue all of this together, the entire video remains coherent and consistent. Now, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a link to the GitHub repo, which gives you all the code on how to train and run this on your computer. The link is up here, plus there are a ton of additional examples on this page, so I'll link to this main page in the description below for you to read further. Next up, this AI is really useful. It's called HoloPart, and this breaks down 3D objects into smaller, complete parts. It can even figure out what's hidden from view. So here's an example. Let's say you have this object of a ring. Well, in the first step, it segments the ring into different meaningful parts, like the ring, and then these decorations, and then the diamond at the top. But note that some of these parts are hidden from view. Like this diamond here isn't really complete. Same with these parts over here. So in the next step, the AI actually fills in these missing areas so that all the pieces of the ring are structurally complete. And by doing so, you now have a model which can be broken down into smaller, complete parts. And this would be super useful for downstream editing. For example, you can then choose to increase the size of the diamond, like this, or you can choose to add a texture to the ring and add a different texture to the diamond. So here are some other examples. Let's say we have this model of a car. Here's what happens after we plug it through this AI. It has segmented everything and filled in the parts hidden from view so that each part is complete. As you can see, the wheels and the base of the car look structurally complete. Same with the lights and the steering wheel and everything else. Very nice. Here's another example. So if this is your input character, well, after plugging it through this AI, it has segmented everything and also made sure that each part is structurally complete, as you can see here. And then here's another example of an ice cream shop, I assume. Let's break this up. And you can see again that everything is segmented, but each part is structurally complete. Or here's yet another example. So let's break this up and you can see all the parts over here. Very nice. Now, as I mentioned briefly before, HoloPart uses a two-stage approach. So first it identifies visible parts of the object and then segments all these parts. And then afterwards, it plugs these parts through a special 3D shape diffusion model to fill in any missing areas for each part, to make sure that each part is structurally complete. Now, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they've released a free Hugging Face space for you to try this out online. So here is where you would input a 3D mesh. So let's say I input this 3D mesh. Notice that it automatically segments each meaningful part, and then here is the result. So here's the 3D model, but each part is now separate. And if we expand or explode all these parts, then it looks something like this. Very nice. And then in addition to the Hugging Face space, they've also released a GitHub repo, which contains all the instructions on how to download and run this on your computer. So I'll link to this main page in the description below for you to read further. Also this week, we have a new top open source image generator. It's called HiDream by Veo2 AI, and this is super exciting. This is basically the next Stable Diffusion or Flux, and this is completely uncensored. And if you look at this independent leaderboard by Artificial Analysis, which ranks all the text-to-image models, HiDream is over here in third place. This is the top open source model. Note that the next best open source model is all the way down here, Flux 1 Dev. Also note that Flux Pro is closed source. So this is an insane improvement over the next best option. And after a few days of initial testing, I also feel that HiDream is just slightly better than Flux and Stable Diffusion. Indeed, this is the best open source model you can use right now, and it's completely uncensored. Now, I already did a full review and tutorial on this, so I'm not going to repeat too much here. See this video if you haven't already. Next up, this AI is super useful. It's called Omni SVG, and this can create high-quality SVG images, in other words, scalable vector graphics, from a text prompt or an input image. If you're not familiar with SVGs, these are not really pixels like a normal image. Instead, you can scale these images indefinitely without losing quality. And as you can see from these examples, it can generate a variety of different shapes, characters, and objects in various art styles. All of these are really good quality, and note that these are basically vectors, so you can scale these images to like 10,000 by 10,000 pixels, and they would still look very sharp and accurate. And note that if you compare this with other SVG generators like Icon Shop or SVG Dreamer or Chat2 SVG, note that this new one, Omni SVG, just performs a lot better. So here the prompt is: a red play button is centrally featured on an interface with a blue bar and various colored circles. Note that it's the only one that was able to follow the prompt correctly. Or here's a cute cartoon character with a green and yellow mushroom hat, red capes, and indeed this is what we get. I can't believe this is a vector, by the way. This is super detailed and almost like a drawing. And then here we have a cute cartoon vampire with purple hair, wearing a black and red outfit, smiles with fangs showing, and indeed, this is what we get. Now, like I said, this doesn't just take in a text prompt, you can also input an image and convert that into an SVG. And even if you compare it with GPT-4o and other methods, note that this new one, Omni SVG, is the most consistent. So note that this looks the same as the input image. It's just that this is a JPEG, whereas this is a scalable vector. Here's another example. Note that the output looks exactly the same as the input image. And then here are some more examples. Even with a tricky illustration like this, it was able to generate the SVG pretty accurately. And here are some additional examples. Now, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released the dataset. So here is all their training data, which contain a ton of SVG data across different types of objects and characters and art styles. Plus, they also have released a GitHub repo, and it says they will release the code to run this. So stay tuned for that. For now, I'll link to this page in the description below for you to read further. Let me tell you about this awesome tool called Chat LLM by our sponsor, Abacus AI. This allows you to use the best AI models out there all in one integrated platform. This includes the latest Claude 3.7, O3 Mini High, as well as DeepSeek R1. Plus, they have a new Route LLM feature, which automatically picks the best LLM to use based on your prompt. Plus, you can even generate videos with a single prompt. Plus, it has a really cool artifacts feature, so if you're coding or building something with it, it allows you to view and interact with the app side by side. They also have a new coding tool called Code LLM. This works exactly like VS Code, but it's supercharged with AI. You can chat with an AI on the side to help you generate or edit code, or you can even press tab to autocomplete code. This is a really powerful way for you to use the best AI models out there all in one platform. Try it out via the link in the description below. Next up, this AI is super useful. It's called OmniTalker by Alibaba, and this can take any reference video of someone talking, plus the text you want them to say, and it can generate a perfect video of that person speaking out the text. So here are some examples. Let's say you have this input video of someone talking. Note that this is a real video. 同学们好，我是小米公司的雷军，今天我正式加入了 B 站大家庭。成为了一名 B 站的萌新。Alright, so that's your input. You also need to input the transcript of this video. So this is the text that he says in the video. And then let's say you want to get him to speak this English. Let's see what that sounds like. How are you? Mi fans. I'm Lei Jun. I'm very happy to be China's richest man in 1 hour today. Thank you very much. Are you okay? And it's not bad. Note that it does all of this in real time at 25 frames per second. Here's another example. Here's the real video of Jackie Chan saying this text. 过年贴春联吃团圆饭，和家人一起守岁迎新年，都是个很好玩也很重要的事情哦。Alright, so if we input this into the AI and then we get him to speak this English, let's see what that looks like. Life is like a movie. There are moments of joy and moments of struggle, but the key is to give your best in every scene. No matter how tough things get, never lose faith. Very nice. It even preserves some of his accent in the English. And then here's an example of Trump. This is the real video, and this is the transcript. Let's play this first. Unify, I bring people together. I get along with people. I've always gotten along with people. I'll get along with Democrats, with Republicans, with liberals, with conservatives. All right, now let's say we want him to speak this text. Let's see what that looks like. We shall not be swayed easily, no matter how rocky the road ahead may be. We must trust that amidst the difficulties, solutions can be found. Amidst disagreements, consensus can be reached. This is not just a choice about policies or politics. It concerns our shared future and the world we wish to leave for the next generation. All right, so some uncanny stuff there. As he turns his head, it doesn't really look like him anymore. Plus, he doesn't take any pauses between the sentences, so it looks like he's just blurting out this transcript really robotically. Next, here's an example with the same inputs, but this time, let's get him to speak this Chinese. 让我告诉你，没有人比我更爱中国了。我多次说过，这是真的。中国人民、中国文化以及那令人惊叹的历史，这一切都太棒了。他们制造的东西，说真的，世界上没有哪个国家能比得上中国的制造能力。And it does look like Trump is speaking Chinese. His Chinese even has some American accent to it. And then here's another example with Leonardo. Here's the input video. For our children's children, and for those people out there whose voices have been drowned out by the politics of greed, I thank you all for this amazing award tonight. Let us not take this planet for granted. Instead, if we want to get him to say this text, let's see what that looks like. We shall not be swayed easily, No matter how rocky the road ahead may be, we must trust that amidst the difficulties, solutions can be found. Amidst disagreements, consensus can be reached. This is not just a choice about policies or politics. It concerns our shared future and the world we wish to lead for the next generation. Again, the issue I have with this is he doesn't really take any pauses between sentences, so it doesn't sound as natural. It would be nice if we can get a better text-to-speech tool and then plug the audio output into here. Here's an example of Anne Hathaway, so here's the original video. We show time and time again that we do not equally value women's participation, contribution, and leadership. All right, and then here is what we want to get her to say instead. Neural networks. They're not just mathematical curiosities, you see. They are mirrors, imperfect but fascinating, reflecting the computational principles that life itself has evolved over billions of years. So interestingly here, she does take some pauses between the sentences and at the hyphens over here. Let's also look at her speak Chinese. 当前，随着全球燃料和食品价格不断上涨，在气候危机和持续的军事冲突中，女性的收入以及她们对商业成功和市场复苏的贡献，比以往任何时候都更加重要。Very nice. Note that you can also kind of control the emotion of the generation by using the same emotion in your input reference video. So for example, if you input a happy-looking video and you get her to say this, well, here's what the input looks like. Dogs are sitting by the door. And then here's what the output looks like. I was like talking to my friend and she's all excited about her trip to Europe and I'm just like so jealous, right? All right, now instead, if you input a sad looking video like this, let's see what the input video looks like first. Dogs are sitting by the door. She seems to be really sad about dogs sitting by the door. And then if we get her to say the same transcript over here, let's see what that looks like. I was like talking to my friend and she's all excited about her trip to Europe and I'm just like so jealous, right? And she does look very sad while speaking the script. Finally, the output isn't just limited to a few seconds. This can generate quite long videos based on whatever transcript you give it. So here's an example of Teresa saying a really long transcript that's over 2 minutes long. Let me begin by saying this. We are living in challenging times. Times that test not only our resolve, but also our ability to come together as a nation. Throughout my career, I have always believed that strength lies not in grand gestures or empty promises. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to play you the full 2 minutes, but just note that this can go on and on and on. And like I said, this does support real-time generation at 25 frames per second. So this is kind of like an avatar which you can interact with in real time. Here's an example. Hello, I'm Anne Hathaway. Glad to see you. Hey, Anne Hathaway. May I ask you a question about how has your journey from stage to screen shaped your career? Oh, thank you so much. That's such a lovely question. Honestly, theater taught me the discipline of live performance. The idea that every moment matters and you can't hit credo. Film allowed me to dive deeper into characters with nuance, so a pretty cool application. Really quickly, here's how it works. So they used a dual-branch diffusion transformer architecture, which means it has 2 separate parts, one for generating video and one for generating audio. And then they work together to create a synchronized output of the person speaking the audio. Now, if you scroll up to the top of the page, it looks like they haven't released anything yet, but I'll keep you posted once they do. For now, I'll link to this main page in the description below for you to read further. In humanoid robot news, I featured some insane demos in the past few weeks, such as Unitree's robot doing a kickflip, and this robot from Engine AI running really fast and dancing like this. Especially for Engine AI's demos, some people thought they were fake or CGI. Well, as you may know, this streamer, Speed, was visiting China recently, and he made a stop to Shenzhen where Engine AI is based. And here's his live stream with the Engine AI robot.
You just did a flip? No.
Trying to fight?
But you weren't doing Stop that!
One thing I did notice is that it seems to be constantly losing parts throughout the video. Like, you can see bits and pieces of it flying everywhere, so I hope it's okay. But anyways, as you can see from this live stream, this robot is indeed legit. It's not CGI. It can indeed do what they claim, including a front flip and dancing. In addition to this, we have a new demo from Unitree. This time, it has learned to box. Now, this demo is particularly impressive because it's doing everything autonomously. This is different from the previous demos of it dancing or doing kung fu because those are just memorized routines. But in this new boxing demo, everything is autonomous. The system has to recognize the opponent and throw punches and kicks in the right direction. Plus, if it falls down, it needs to know how to get back up and find the opponent again. There's a lot of calculations it needs to do in real time, but as you can see, it's able to execute everything really smoothly. But forget about humanoid robots, what about AI-powered horses? So Kawasaki just unveiled this AI robotic horse which you can ride around. And they aim for this to be powered by hydrogen, so it emits only water vapor as a byproduct, so this is meant to be environmentally friendly. In the simplest sense, this is basically a giant version of Unitree's dog or Boston Dynamics Spot, which you can ride. Note that this riding video is completely CGI and it's only for illustrating the concept. And the prototype that they introduced this week at the Osaka Kansai Expo is also not functional. It's just a shell to show you the concept. Now, I don't know about you, but at least for me, while this looks cool, I'm not really sold on this idea. I mean, there's a reason why we invented the wheel. It's just way more efficient than bouncing with 4 legs. But let me know in the comments what you think about this idea. Also this week, Google held their Cloud Next event where they announced several huge updates in AI. For example, they introduced Google's 7th generation tensor processing unit called Ironwood, which by the way sounds like a great name for an erectile dysfunction pill. The slogan could be like, stay up all night with Ironwood. Anyways, this is an insanely powerful processor specialized for AI. If you compare the performance of Ironwood with previous generations of Google's TPUs, you can see the improvement is massive. And this is one of the main reasons why Google is leading the AI race. Not only do they have the best AI model in the world, Gemini 2.5 Pro, but they also have their own in-house TPUs for compute and training. So they don't need to rely on NVIDIA, unlike every other AI company. They've built the entire stack vertically, end to end, from the hardware and compute to the software and the AI models. And this gives them the biggest competitive edge in the AI race. Google also launched their AI Agent Development Kit. This allows developers to build multi-agent systems easily. And this kit supports integrations with a ton of pre-built connectors and APIs, so you can use these agents to fetch or send data to other apps and platforms. With this, you can easily build a team of multiple agents working together to achieve complex goals across different apps like email or Google Workspace or CRMs. Best of all, this development kit will be open source. They also introduced this agent-to-agent protocol, which allows agents to communicate with each other, even if they're built from different companies or different platforms. And this unleashes so many possibilities. They also introduced Google Agent Space, which is quite similar to GenSpark or Manus, if you've been watching my previous videos. This is a chat interface where it would automatically route your request to the appropriate agent to solve the task for you. So for example, here the user is getting it to find suitable candidates for a job opening. Here, it's choosing to use the sourcing agent to carry out the task. And then afterwards, the user prompts it to do background checks on the candidates. So now it's using another agent called the symbol background agent to check one candidate, and then this international background agent to check the background of the other candidates. Anyways, all these tools are going to be rolled out gradually, so stay tuned for that. They've also announced that several media generators will be available in their Vertex AI platform. This includes Lyria, which is their text-to-music model. This can only generate instrumentals, and honestly, the quality isn't as good as Udio or Suno or Refusion, so I'm not going to cover it too much here. But really quickly, here's a tune generated with Lyria. So that was Lyria. They're rolling this out slowly in Vertex AI. Plus, we also have Chirp 3, which is their text-to-speech generator, and this can clone anyone's voice with just 10 seconds of their audio. And then we also have new features added to Veo2, including camera control and in-painting. Given where we are, we're going to use Las Vegas skyline as a perfect backdrop for what we're going to do with Vertex AI Media Studio. We're going to start by bringing in the Las Vegas skyline image. Really high quality, beautiful image. We're going to generate video, but here's the new hotness. Check it out. Camera presets built right into Veo. Panning left, panning right, time-lapse tracking shots, and even drone shots. So let's go ahead and submit a drone shot of the city skyline. There we go. We'll go and submit this. Now, normally this would take a few seconds. I ran this earlier today, so it's cached, so it's going to be a little quicker than normal. All right, let's look at video number 1. Absolutely spectacular. We have the ability to see the fountains, the Eiffel Tower. Now let's go ahead and take a look at video number 2. A different angle that Veo creates for us. Again, stunning imagery. You could see the clouds in the background and look at the cars driving up and down Las Vegas Boulevard. Absolutely incredible. It turns out that this great video we just saw has a crew member, and we love our crew members. However, in this case, I'd like to feature the guitar because the guitar is the most important part of the band. So let's go ahead and use Veo's new in-painting capability. And I'm sorry, sir, I apologize. I know you're very good at your job, but I am going to have to remove you from this image. We will send flowers to you and your family though, sir. Let's use the new in-painting capability. Wait a couple of seconds, and let's see what we see. Now, if this does what I think it does, it should preserve every single aspect of what we saw before, just without our stagehand. Look at that. And indeed, if you sign up for a free account in Vertex AI, note that you do need to provide your credit card details, but they don't charge you immediately. You get $300 of credits. And then in Media Studio, here is where you can generate an image with Imagen 3, or audio with Chirp, or music with Lyria, or you can generate a video clip using Veo2. However, note that all of these features right now are behind what they call an allow list, which I guess sounds slightly better than a waitlist. Speaking of Veo2, they've actually released this for free in Google's AI Studio. So if you log into AI Studio, notice there's a slight change in the layout. In the left menu, you should see this video gen option, and if you click on it, you can now generate videos with Veo2 for free. Here you can select the number of results, the aspect ratio, the video duration, so note that the maximum duration right now is 8 seconds. However, you can't specify the frame rate or resolution yet. And then here is where you would enter a negative prompt, which is optional. So let's try generating a video right now. Let's try a group of Pomeranian puppies learning to become chefs. All right, here's what we get. So let's expand this. They look super cute and fluffy, by the way. And indeed, they look like Pomeranian puppies learning to become chefs. Now, to download this, you can click on these 3 dots and then click download. One thing to note is that if you want to save these videos automatically, you need to click on settings and then turn on this autosave toggle at the top over here. This would autosave your videos to Google Drive. If you don't select this option and you leave the page, you're gonna lose the video forever. Next up, this AI is also super interesting. So it has a very long name, but anyways, this is an AI that can take in any photo of a face plus any audio, and it will make the face speak the audio. So here are some examples. If we input this portrait of Einstein and we input a separate audio clip, here's the result. Truth be told, I never graduated from college, and this is the closest I've ever gotten to a college graduation. Today, I want to tell you 3 stories from my life. That's it. No big deal. Just 3 stories. Very nice. And then here's another example. Let me give you one example. Reed College at that time offered perhaps the best calligraphy instruction in the country. Throughout the campus, every poster, every label on every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphed. Because I had dropped out and didn't have to take the normal classes, very nice, you can see how the lip sync and the mouth movements are super accurate. Here's another example. I would like to say a huge thank you to NYU's Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Bill Berkeley, and all the trustees and members of the board, NYU's President Andrew Hamilton, Provost Catherine Fleming, and the faculty and alumni here today. So I'm going to pause it there. This is quite a long generation, over a minute long, so this can definitely generate long outputs depending on the length of your audio. Now notice there is some uncanny stuff going on with her teeth, plus her head and body kind of remains fixed in the same position. So it's not as fluid or natural as some other animators like OmniHuman, but this does lip sync to the audio quite accurately. Here's another example. Not a single one of us here today has done it alone. We are each a patchwork quilt of those who have loved us, those who have believed in our futures, those who showed us empathy and kindness, or told us the truth. Very nice. Now, instead of just inputting audio, you can also input a video of yourself moving your face and include various expressions, and it would map the movements onto the image. So here are some examples of that. Notice that here, all of these images are animated with the same reference video of a face moving and talking with all these expressions. Note that for this demo, there's no audio, so this is only mapping the movements of the person's face onto these images. Not only can it handle talking or moving the head around, but it can also transfer other facial movements and expressions like blinking or puckering lips or looking in different directions, as you can see in these examples. So this is a super versatile tool that can transfer all sorts of facial expressions onto a new character. So I've shown you how it can do lip sync with an audio clip, or how it can transfer the facial movements of a reference video. Well, you can also combine the two together. So here are some examples. On the left is the reference video. So this AI is going to take the head and facial movements of this reference video, but it's also going to lip sync the characters with a separate audio clip. And here's what that would look like. Truth be told, I never graduated from college, and this is the closest I've ever gotten to a college graduation. Today, I want to tell you 3 stories from my life. That's it. No big deal. Just 3 stories. Here's another example. Reed College at that time offered perhaps the best calligraphy instruction in the country. Throughout the campus, every poster, every label on every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphed. Because I had dropped out and didn't have to take the normal classes. Now, if you compare this with other lip sync tools like Hello or Echo Mimic, which I've gone over before, notice that this new one on the far right performs better at lip sync.
Dogs are sitting by the door. Dogs are sitting by the door.
For this one, it makes the person look way more expressive as she speaks out the audio. Here's another example.
Ici aussi. Encore une fois, c'est un dérappage. Je pense, bon, faut pas faire d'amalgame complet, même si on le fait, hein. Même si on a tendance à se dire, écrit tout ça.
Note that for this new one, the head and body also moves really naturally, so this overall just looks more realistic. Now, instead of comparing lip sync tools, if you compare this with face animation tools, like X Portrait or Annie Portrait or Live Portrait, which I've gone over before, notice again that this new one performs a lot better. So note that this new method was the only one that was able to transfer the movements of the reference video consistently without any errors. Here's another example. So, with this tool and other AI tools which I featured last week, now anyone can just record a video of themselves acting and then apply their movements to any other person they want with just a photo. This unleashes so many possibilities. Now, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo, but the code is not out yet. Hopefully, they will release this soon. For now, I'll link to this main page in the description below for you to read further. Also this week, Meta releases Llama 4, and this is insane. Not. So there are 3 different models in the Llama 4 family. The largest one is Behemoth with, get this, 2 trillion total parameters. And then the medium-sized version is called Maverick. This has 400 billion parameters, which is still huge. And then Llama 4 Scout has 109 total parameters. And this one is nice because it has a 10 million context window. So the context length is basically how much information you can fit in your prompt at once. For example, Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro has a context window of 1 million tokens, and then O3, O1, and Claude have a context window of 200K. So this can take in 10 times more information than Gemini 2.5 and 50 times more than OpenAI's models. So you might think this is super impressive, but here's the thing. It doesn't really matter how much information you can take in. What matters is, can the model actually remember and process all of that information accurately? We'll talk more about this in a second. Now, if you scroll down and look at the benchmark scores that they published, this looks really good. Notice that it outcompetes other models like Gemini 2 and DeepSeek V3 and GPT-4o across all these different categories. But that's interesting. Why didn't they include Gemini 2.5 or GPT 4.5 or even Grok 3 or Claude Sonnet 3.7? Anyways, if you scroll down again, here are some other benchmark scores that they published, which seem really good. Is this really the case? If you look at some independent evaluators, such as Fiction Live Bench, so this tests an AI model's ability to remember and process really long stories. So at the top here is how long the story is. So if you look at the longest story length of 120K, note that Gemini 2.5 Pro is currently the best. It scores a whopping 90.6 points. Now, speaking of long stories, it would be nice to see where Llama 4 Scout ranks in that leaderboard, because this has a whopping industry-leading 10 million context length, so it can take in a lot of information. Alright, so let's scroll down here and find Llama 4 Scout, and oh boy, this is quite embarrassing. So it scores 27.3, even though it has by far the largest context window out of all these models with 10 million tokens. It scored the worst in processing long pieces of information. And if you look at this LM Arena leaderboard where users can blind test different AI models, let's try to find where Llama 4 is. Definitely not in the top 3 spots, or even the top 5, or even the top 10. Did they even add this? Where is Llama 4? Oh my goodness. So you can see Llama 4 Maverick is all the way down here at 32nd place, even behind DeepSeek 2.5. This is not even version 3. Even behind Claude 3.5. This is not even 3.7. And if you look at another independent leaderboard by Artificial Analysis, Llama 4 is all the way down here. And then if you scroll down a bit, Llama 4 Scout with a whopping 10 million tokens is even further down this leaderboard. So in conclusion, Llama 4 kind of sucks. I mean, you're free to try it out, but after a few prompts, I think you'll quickly see that it's just not as performant as the leading models out there. So this is kind of a big L for Meta. It looks like they're really behind in the AI race. In other news, ChatGPT just got an update. So here it says memory in ChatGPT can now reference all of your past chats and provide more personalized responses. In addition to the saved memories that were there before, it can now reference your past chats and deliver responses that feel noticeably more relevant and useful. So if you go to ChatGPT, up here, if you click on your icon and then click on Settings, and then in Personalization, you should see an option to turn on or off memory over here. And then here's another toggle to allow or disallow the AI to reference all your past conversations. Now, if you leave both of these on, here's a cool thing you can do with this. You can ask it something like, describe me based on what you know about me. So let's click enter and let's see what horrifying things it was able to tell me. Alright, based on our conversations, you strike me as someone deeply engaged in web development, particularly skilled with Next.js and React. Okay, I did prompt it to help me out with some Next.js code in the past. I did also get it to create some code and simulations using p5.js. This was for my O3 mini video. And yes, my curiosity also extends to medical scenarios. I did prompt it some medical questions. So this is pretty accurate based on the conversations I've had with it. Note that I didn't have deeper conversations. I didn't disclose any of my personal details like family or relationships or finances. I'm sure if you give it more information, this answer would be even more shocking. Also note that this enhanced memory feature is currently only out for ChatGPT Plus and Pro users. So if you're on the free plan, you might not have access to this yet. Plus, this excludes anyone in the EU, which unfortunately has stricter AI regulations. And that sums up all the highlights in AI this week. Let me know in the comments what you think of all of this. Which piece of news was your favorite, and which tool are you most looking forward to trying out? As always, I will be on the lookout for the top AI news and tools to share with you. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, there's just so much happening in the world of AI every week. I can't possibly cover everything on my YouTube channel. So to really stay up to date with all that's going on in AI, be sure to subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link to that will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.